Now we will go to the last video for topic 8. Using the sampling distribution of the sample mean. If a population follows the normal distribution, the sampling distribution of the sample mean will follow the normal distribution. If the shape is known to be non-normal, but the sample contains at least 30 observations, the center limit theorem guarantees the sampling distribution of the mean follows a normal distribution. When the population standard deviation is known, a z statistic for the sampling distribution of the sample mean is calculated by using this formula. Z equal to sample mean minus population mean divide the population standard deviation divide square root of n. For example, the Quality Assurance Department for Cola Institute Incorporates maintain records regarding the amount of cola in its jumbo bottle and so on. Follows the normal probability, the mean amount is 31.2, the population standard deviation is 0.4. 8 a.m. today, the mean amount of cola 31.38 and the sampling error is 0.18. So this is an unlikely result or likely result. So how we calculate is, first, I will extract the information from the questions. Sample mean equal to 31.38. Why sample? Because at 8 a.m. today, I just choose one day, 8 a.m., 31.38. Population mean 31.2 because they say follow the normal probabilities distribution. The mean is 31.2. Population standard deviation 0.4. 0.4. Sample size 16 because they say randomly selected 16 bottles. N equal to 16. So step 1. Find the z-value corresponding to the sampling mean of the 31.38. So sample mean minus the population mean is 31.38 minus 31.2 equal to 0.18. This is sampling error. While the standard deviation divided square root of n is equal to 0.4 divided square root of 16 is 0.1 is the standard error of the sampling distribution of the sample mean. Therefore, we will get 1.8. So if the question asks, find the probability of observing a z equal to or greater than 1.8, so we can use table 3. This table already uploaded in Spectrum. Please refer to table 3. We will get 1.8 is equal to 0.0359. So this region, this shaded region is 0.0359. How we calculate this area is 0.5 minus 0.0359. This one. If the question asks, is that putting too much? We also can calculate. 0.5 minus 0.0359, we get 0.4641. Then next, the question asks, is this unlikely or likely? So it is unlikely because less than 4% chance we could select a sample of 16 observations from a normal population with a mean of 31.2 ounce and a population standard deviation of 0.4 and find the sample mean equal to or greater than 31.38. So we conclude that the process is putting too much. Okay, why? Because we only can get less than 4%. If likely occur, which means that we will follow the margin error, 90%, 95 or 99%, which is typically 95%. Or if we get 0.025 or 0.05, if one depend on 1 till or 2 till, then we call that as likely. Then we will go to the last subtopic, population proportion. Population proportion. The symbol is pi. For sample proportion, we use P. I repeat, population proportion pi, sample proportion P. Okay. P equal to number of items in the sample having the characteristic of interest divide the sample size. And our answer should be between 0 to 1. P is approximately distributed as a normal distribution when the sample size is large. Okay. When we can use the population proportion is when sample size minus the population proportion pi greater than or equal to 5 and n multiply 1 minus pi greater than and equal to 5 where the population mean for the sample proportion is equal to the population proportion. Standard deviation for sample proportion is equal to square root of pi multiply 1 minus pi divide n. So if the question asks you to find the z value for proportion, we can use this formula. Z equal to sample proportion minus population proportion divide sigma is population standard deviation, P is sample proportion, or P minus pi divide square root of pi multiply 1 minus pi divide n. For example, the radio company's brand has a market share of 30%. In a survey, 1,000. So this 1,000 is our n. 30% is our pi. What is the probability that more than 32% of the respondents prefer the L'Oreal brand, which means that our sample proportion P is equal to 0.32. But then now the question asks, more than. So our symbol, more than. Okay. Solution. First, we have to check whether we can use the z value for population proportion or not. How we check? N multiply P should be greater than or equal to 5. This one. N multiply pi should be greater than or equal to 5. N multiply 1 minus pi should be greater than or equal to 5. So 1,000 multiply 0.3, we get greater than 5. N multiply 1 minus P, we get 1,000 multiply 0.7, which is greater than 5. Therefore, we can use this formula, this formula. Okay. Then we can apply the formula. Okay. 0.32 minus 0.3. How we know 0.32 and 0.3 is? Because of this. P sample proportion. Sorry. Our question. Here. Sample proportion 0.32, pi 0.3. So 0.32 minus 0.3. Divide. This is standard deviation for sample proportion. To calculate the population standard deviation for sample proportion, that is square root of pi multiply 1 minus pi divide n, which is 0.3 minus multiply 0.7 divide 1,000, then square root, we will get 0.01449, which means that P equal to P probability of Z greater than 1.38. Refer to your table 3, we can get 0.0838. Okay, that's all for our topic 8. If you have any questions, you can post in Spectrum or Facebook group. Thank you.